Hey, welcome back, all of you, to one of the most frequently asked questions whenever you talk about architecture is about how do I quantify my skills? Because this is pretty much essential. If I had 9x AWS certification today, it really helps me as a passport while I'm talking to my customers. So it's very important for you to really look at from an AWS perspective, what are the certification related to your particular portfolio if you are an architect. Let's have a look at it. Let's do hands-on here. First thing we should look at is to go to the certification page because it gives you an overall view about what are the certifications available. We are not much interested about certification not relevant to architect, but generally to look at you can see that there are a lot of this areas here where you can just go and refer to. Okay. One of the resources is like how do I develop the tools and etc. You can have a look at it. So one thing which you all must really study is to look at what are the various certifications available for you first. There are functional certifications if you're starting out. Okay, currently for architects, if you're very new, want to get seasoned, this will build your overall foundations. If you look at the six pillars, if you have to work on the six pillars, if you're not a seasoned, you're just beginning your career, this will give you like networking systems, talking about compute, getting an overall picture. If you are in the world of AI, you want to get started, you can use the AI practitioner. But if I look at from an architect perspective, two certification which stands out is one is the solution architect associate certification, and the next one is about the solution architect professional. These are the two certification you must focus if you're looking at trying to start your career into the certification path. And there is a guide here called Browse uh, the AWS certification path, by virtue of which, if you come down here, based on your profile, you can also mix and match some of the certifications. So here is an example where you are able to mix and match for solution architect. Suppose you're a beginner, okay, you can get started here on this. It really recommended put here like if you're optional for IT and cloud, already you know cloud, you can skip this. If you don't know, you can just do these two and then look at this exam. And reason why security is put as one of the certs is because it's very important for you to get deeper into the security aspect if you're looking at from a solution architect. There is an application architect track which almost is similar, just that you will end up after you finish solution associate, you might want to add some developer certs and then look at solution architect. So if you want to get into a development mode on Gen AI, there is a beta certification which is available today for generative AI developer professional certification. Okay, you can also look at this certification from this place. So these are options available for all of us to really build up the skill sets, right? Okay, and data engineer is very common. If you want, you can always stretch to it, but that's a pretty much very important part. Coming back to the certification list, let's pick up the important topic, which is, just give me a second. You would see that, let's close this. When it comes to preparing for the exam, one of the exam which is you can get started, which will be the core exam for you, is the certified solution architect. So I just to give you a few tips for this certification because there are a lot of courses in Udemy and everywhere. There is AWS Skill Builder giving you a four-step plan to clear it. I'm not here to do this because generally certs and preparing for the certs is something which we do differently. You can always look at a lot of resources available. But coming back to this exam, it is a very overall exam. It just covers too many things. And ultimately, you need to really understand this exam is very broadly based. So you must get a lot of concepts right. So this is the logo you get if you pass the exam. But it's a 130 minutes, which is around 2 hour plus, 65 questions, no negative marking, multiple choice. Okay, and cost is around 150 US dollars, and you can write the exam at your home or at your place, right? So this is the Solution Architect Associate exam. If you really can download this, if you go to the same place here, you will find that there are two important guide, which is important. Review the exam guide will take you to this document. And then in case you have a skill builder subscription, you can go through this 4-step plan. If you want to use Amazon's official skill builder to learn for the exam, you can use the 4-step plan. In case you want to use Udemy or a Coursera or some other platform and go through some courses to pass the exam, you can skip this. So it depends on what you want to do. If you click the review the exam guide, you'll see that it talks about what this exam is about. Okay, and then the main important thing is what it tests you. It tests you on the secure architecture, which is 30%, resilient architecture, which is 26%, high performing architecture, which is 24%, and cost. Imagine this is not about just well architected framework. You should understand these two certs will make you very strong in the subject in terms of architecting, but it doesn't guarantee that you have done an architecture for your end customers. That is where the POC, prototyping, doing a live project or architecting with fellow architects are really, really important in addition to the certification. But definitely, this is a passport for success in terms of looking at. From a securing architecture, it talks about various components in terms of the knowledge on various area, workloads. Okay, we're not going to cover this step by step, but you can go through it yourselves. If you want a structured approach of learning, there are a lot of courses which you can go through from the online platforms, which will cover up the topics, each one of them. And then it will also cover something like an assessment, exams, 2 3 exams. You can go through a set of 60 questions similar to your exam, and then you will be able to appear for the exam. So my point is like exams are important equally like the way you're going through the courses, and what I have given you is very practical way, so just mix this up really well so that it's very easy for you to guide and learn from the platform. If you had opted to learn through the skill builder, which I would recommend in case you have this subscription, you can also come here. There is a learning plan which AWS learning team has put together. You can just go through the exam prep learning plan. There'll be a lot of videos, etc., and then you can get into the exam kind of preparations. Okay, you can just go through the practice test, etc., etc. Okay, so this is one another way to really practice. If you pass this exam, and there is no order in AWS, unlike Microsoft or other, that you should pass this exam to write the next exam. You can write the exam in any order of your choice. In case you want to review the exam guide of your next exam, which is your professional. Professional is more neatly driven. If you're writing this exam, you will see it's very focused depth. The solution architect associate is very broad in nature. So you'll find it more difficult that you should learn a lot more things. Here, you should know a few things more deeper. So here, similar to that pattern, you will find that there are 180 questions. It's a pretty much more expensive exam for $300 US. So prepare well. 75 questions. And if you really look at what is getting covered here, which will be available in your learning certificate, let's go there. So if you see that this is the solution architect professional exam, so you can see that this is getting into the next level. So once you know security, etc., for complex organizations, how do you design solutions? Okay, how do you design new solutions, continuous improvement, workload migration? That's the kind of topics which are covered here. You will find it really challenging this exam, but in case you want to really look at this exam as your additional exam, it's really worth your time. So imagine there is no specific exam for well architected framework, which is specifically part of these two exams in some way here and there. You can go to the skill builder. There are a lot of courses you can do from there, generate some certificates, get some skill sets. Okay, there are some gamification kind of platforms in skill builder for architect, which is called Cloud Quest. Okay, which you can try doing it in a very gamified way. There is something called Simulearn in skill builder by which you will be able to really do some real scenarios. Okay, multiple approaches which you can take from the skill builder. Once you get the subscriptions, you will be able to get all the features. Like you can see that there is, these are things I'm talking about. Exam prep, you will get some escape room where you can just practice for the exam. You have some Card Clash, which is a fast-paced virtual game. Cloud Quest for architects is available. Okay, and then you also have a lot of these labs, the builder labs, which helps you to really practice these concepts. Okay, there are a lot of questions and concepts. There's also something called Jam. Jam is basically to really look at like a challenge given to you, and then you're trying to solve it through the AWS console. Okay, and there is also something called Trivia, where to reinforce knowledge, where we have multiplayer kind of a concept, etc. So you can have a look at it. If you have an enterprise license or a team subscriptions from Skill Builder, it really makes sense to leverage this tool. Okay, and if your cost, you feel that this is too much for you, look at online courses, collect all the resources, and you can also practice. So these are pretty much exams: Solution Architect Associate, Solution Architect Professional. Pretty much you can really look at, these are the exams which you should focus in case you want to prepare yourself for the exam. Okay, so with that, I think we should be good for this today, and we'll see you in the next lesson.